film school worth it? This is probably a question I've asked myself along like every step of my filmmaking/college journey. I do need to preface though, I didn't go to like one of the big schools. I didn't go to NYU, didn't go to AFI or USC or anything like that. Instead, I went to a tiny school of about, I think 14,000 people. My program was like 40 people. I went to UW-Wisconsin River Falls, which also happened to be my hometown, mainly because it was cheap, and they also had a marketing degree that I could get as a backup. They had a film and theater program, and then a marketing communications bachelor's as well, so I did both. And I went that route instead of traditional film school because it was way more cost-effective, especially because I could stay home for most of it. To be honest, I think if I did go to one of those big film schools, I might have had more connections, but you know what else I might have had? Hella debt. I am debt-free, fortunately, and I think if I, had a tuition bill of $100,000 or whatever it costs, working in film already isn't like the easiest career path to make a living out of. It's a very sought-after career because of how cool it is. It's so freaking cool, but it's not the most stable career. And so in my mind, I would much rather go into debt or spend a lot of money building a business and figuring it out with what I have versus going to this big film school to do like movies and stuff like that. I didn't go the movie route. I want something that supports me, has a creative fulfillment, and allows me to travel basically. If I did go to one of those bigger schools, I probably would have learned a lot more about the technical side of filmmaking. But to be honest, I found myself naturally doing that through YouTube and online workshops and in-person workshops. I'm just reaching out to producers in my local city and learning. I don't think you necessarily need to go to one of the big film schools to make a career. It's like a nice to have if you can get like a ton of financial support, but I don't think it's worth taking on, tens or hundreds of $1,000s of debt to then, maybe start a production company or get into the union or anything like that. Like if you're going to build a production company or a freelance career as an editor or a camera operator, you don't need necessarily like a laptop or a camera, but it definitely helps. And so you may as well save money when it comes to, what school you go to if you're already going to be spending money on equipment. Being able to stay at home and go to a school where it was literally like $4,000 to $8,000 a semester, I was able to keep my cost as low as possible and then take as much as I could save and build a business or pursue things that would teach me the skills to then build a business. I'll probably make a video separate from this about, kind of my overarching college career and how I've gotten to where I am. But there was definitely a moment my freshman year where I was genuinely I was one click away from dropping out of college. For context, it was 2021, peak COVID, and my first year of college was like online lectures or small group classes of 3 to 4 people. And to be honest, the stuff that we were learning, it was like, I could have Googled that in 2 seconds. Why am I spending thousands of dollars on this? I couldn't really go out to like parties or anything for that side of the college experience. I also couldn't really hop on a film set because it was COVID. And, the film community, at least in my city, it's not super gatekeepy, but like breaking into it can be a challenge. And trying to break into it during COVID, which I did, I think it would have been easier if we didn't have a pandemic. So on the bright side, at the time of me at least filming this video, there's not like a pandemic happening. God, I really hope that doesn't happen again. That shit sucked. But yeah, I was like genuinely convinced that I should drop out because I wasn't getting, the social side of college. I wasn't really learning anything in the classes I was taking. It kind of just felt like I was spending time on stuff that didn't really matter. But I decided in the very end, you know what? I'm still like not 100% sure if like film is the career path I'm going for yet. I would hate to like lose this opportunity to go to school at the right age. Not that there's a wrong age, but I think it's easier, if you go when you're in your like late teens, early 20s versus trying to go back to school. So I said, you know what? School's cheap. I can stay home. I can bring my costs way down and still take a lot of risks in building a business. Let's just keep this thing going. Although I think that we're entering a world where you don't need a 4-year degree or even a 2-year degree for some stuff, unless you're going to be a lawyer or a doctor or any of those like traditional career paths. You don't need that. But I think college is really just about kind of that transition period of 18 to 22 where, you're going from being an adult, which, yeah, like you could say on paper, you can buy a scratch off, but like you can't drink, you can't rent a car. I still can't rent a car, but I'm 23 by the way. So any of this advice, take it with a grain of salt. I think going to college is less about what you learn academically and more about how you like fit in with the rest of society and how you interact with people, what you can learn from others. And I mean, like, think about it. You know, if you're going to be a freshman in college, you're leaving high school, presumably, where you have a bunch of people, you know, you see them every single day. It's like 7:40 in the morning. Nobody wants to be there. You end at like 2 or 3 o'clock. And then you go home or you go do your extracurriculars or whatever it is. College is just like that, but it's got more of a flowy structure where not everyone is on like the same exact schedules, but there's still a little bit of a sense of like you're on like the same timeline. If you were to go from high school to I'm not doing college at all, there's nothing wrong with that. But you're probably going to feel very like scatterbrained and like, whoa, like everyone else is on this different path and I don't know where I'm going in life, and the only thing that I can do right now is either work, travel somewhere, which is a great option as well if you can. But I don't know, for me, surrounding myself with people that are also kind of figuring it out as they go was kind of what I needed to get to where I am now. So again, I'm not saying you need to go to like this prestigious film school that's going to bring you into crazy debt. I actually don't recommend that, especially if you're not even sure if like film is the right fit for you. Because if you're going to just a film school and then you realize it's not for you, you have taken on all of this debt and then you have to pivot to somewhere else. And honestly, your credits probably aren't going to transfer over. So it's going to cost you more time and money. Like I went to college for film, yes, but I also got a degree in marketing communications. In the case where, you know, if I were in a situation where I break my arm, it's not broken. It's just, I don't know what it is, but it's not good. If you physically can't do the job that you have, why put all your eggs in one basket? On average, you know, you make about 7 career changes in your life. I wouldn't put all your eggs into one specific basket, even if you're like dead certain, because even if you feel like you have it all figured out, you definitely don't. If you feel that way, you're probably a narcissist and you should go to therapy. All jokes aside, I think any kind of higher education, if you can afford it and make it work, even if you have to take on a little bit of debt that's like comfortable, is worth it in the end because it's going to shape you into a much more well-rounded individual. And I promise I'm not like held at gunpoint right now by a college university. It's just been my experience. Like it was definitely beneficial for me. It doesn't even have to be for film school. You know, if you're just like, ooh, I kind of like marketing, or ooh, I love economics, or yo, I like painting. Just go get a degree in something if you can afford it and it'll work out. Also too though, if school's not for you, it doesn't have to be. Again, I'm just laying out what's worked for me. Doesn't mean it's going to work for you. But if your gut's telling you like, oh, you know what, after hearing this, like maybe I should at least consider this other school or whatever it is, like use that as kind of your compass. Your gut never fails you. Keep in mind, like specifically with filmmaking, there's so much online out there that's free or very low cost compared to going to like NYU. That'll get you like 90%, if not over 100% of the way there. You just gotta find it. Again, college, I think it's less about, you know, what you learn and more about the fact that you can take 3 to 4 years to figure out who you are as a person and transition out of that like high school version of yourself into adulthood. It's about those in-between moments where you crash out at a party and do some dumb shit that you probably wouldn't tell your kids about, or you take that trip abroad for a month and yeah, you go into a little bit of debt, but you make some of the best memories that you couldn't have recreated any other way. Or you start that business in college at the same time, it stresses you out and you probably lose relationships out of it, but it shapes you into who you are and you wouldn't change a thing about it. Okay, that one might have been personal, but the last thing I'll say is I think that I learned the most technically about what it takes to be a filmmaker or a photographer or a designer, artist, whatever it is, outside of college, to be honest. I learned a lot through taking online courses like the Art of Documentary, for example. If you guys want a video where I break down the favorite courses that I've taken, because I've spent like tens of thousands of dollars now and it's paid off. If you guys would get any value out of hearing, you know, what courses I've taken, what I've liked about them, let me know in the comments. I'll consider making a video about that in the future. So yeah, if you got value out of this video, drop a like, consider subscribing, and let me know in the comments, you know, your thoughts on this. Take care. You got it. I believe in you. Insert motivational quote right here. All right, see ya.